Dear friends, will Israel Hamas conflict lead to World War III? Are we living on the edge? So before we start discussing the possibility of Israel Hamas conflict turning into a catastrophic World War III, we first talk very briefly as to how this conflict was ignited and how could it blow into full-scale World War III. Dear friends, the Hamas, which is branded as a terrorist organization by Israel and its supporting countries, primarily belongs to West Bank and Gaza Strip, and it rules over 41 by 10 kilometer boundary of Gaza Strip, which is approximately 365 square kilometer of area. Since 2005, when they defeated Al-Fathah, they started ruling over Gaza Strip. The strip is further divided into 5 regions for administrative purpose. Now, at 6:30 a.m. on 7th October 2023, about 2,500 Hamas supporters sneaked into the border of the city Nova of Israel by motorized paragliders, underground tunnels, and by breaking the boundary wall between Gaza and Israel with the help of bulldozers via the city like Kibbutz, Beri, and Keram, killing about 260 Israeli civilians, including foreigners who were assembled to enjoy a music festival in a hall. All were brutally killed. Many of Hamas sneakers enter into the cities of Israel through indigenous and foreign-made rockets on residential buildings and killed many helpless, unsuspecting, innocent civilians consisting of men, women, small children playing in and around, and other toddlers around 40. These toddlers and persons were either sleeping in the cradle or doing breastfeeding. Dear friends, the Hamas terrorists committed many inhuman acts against women folk while they were indoors. They entered their houses and did whatever they can do. Those Hamas people, they indiscriminately slaughtered persons seen moving around the roads and walking in the parks. They continued with this slaughter till noon. Killed everyone who is coming on the way, killing almost 1,000 Israelis, including 100 of them from 20 foreign nations. The foreign nations were USA, England, France, Russia, even Nepal. But they didn't stop here. Rather, they kidnapped about 120 civilians of foreign nationals and about 200 Israeli civilians, and have kept them. They kept more than 300 as hostages in their underground tunnels, which had already been dug in whole of the Gaza Strip. They were digging it since 2005 and had turned the whole of the underground Gaza region into fortress consisting of over 1,300 crisscross tunnels, 20 to 21 meter deeper and some 30 meter deeper, covering about 500 kilometers. Each tunnel is having an access to either school or hospital or mosque at an entry route and exit point. This makes an uphill task for any army to locate these fiercely trained Hamas terrorists and to fight guerrilla warfare with them underneath in the highly fortified tunnel containing weapons of all type. They have all type of weapon, including locally made and foreign made weapons and rockets. By 7th of October, the evening of 7th of October, Israel fought back. Israeli Air Force started impounding the whole length and breadth of Gaza Strip. This bomb was duly supported by its army and navy, and they destroyed a lot of residential buildings and Hamas buildings. Many buildings were destroyed, and over 21 lakh civilians of Gaza live in Gaza. The Israeli forces also turned 5,000 Hamas offices spread over whole of the Gaza Strip into rubble. All this was done as a prelude to launch a war on Hamas terrorists, holding the Israeli and foreigners as hostages. All hostages were kept, as said, were kept in zigzag tunnels, and thus to free the hostages from the captivity in the tunnels, which were 500 kilometers stretch, Israel started the operation. Continuing the IDF means Israeli Defense Force, got vacated over 1.1 IDF ordered about 1.1 million Gazans to shift themselves from north to south of the Gaza. This was a big order. They gave just 24 hours to Gazans to shift from north to south. The operation was compelled to an extent on 16th October 2023 with IDF using their military might of air force, artillery and tanks to support the foot soldiers. This is a big operation by Israel. They did face stiff resistance from their opponent. The evacuating northern Gazans who were also threatened by Hamas. Now Gazans are getting threat from both sides. They are also threatened by Hamas terrorists against evacuation. The attacking Hamas terrorists themselves, and thirdly, Israel was having resistance from powerful Hezbollah from Lebanon side. Because Hezbollah have already gave all their support to Gazans. The Hezbollah has big support of Iranian army. They had been supplying them weapons and helped them in training the terrorist activities. So now Israel started fighting in two fronts. And third front, Syria also. The IDF might start the operation for freeing over 300 hostages kept at more than one unknown underground tunnels. But on 17th October, a very big tragedy befell when a rocket fell on Al-Ahati Arab Hospital in Gaza. This killed a number of persons because in this hospital large number of Gazans were admitted. In addition, many Gazans refugees had taken shelter, and here because they think hospital is safer place during this war. The lethal incident killed almost 500 persons and injured 300. Now, Gazans blamed Israel and Israel blamed Hamas. This led to further escalation of already prevailing volatile situation in the region. Now, at this stage of time, President Joe Biden of America, who has a pre-scheduled visit to Israel and Jordan for 18th October, reached Israel in the morning, but cancelled his visit to Jordan due to surcharged atmosphere prevailing in Jordan. All Islamic world was protesting against this visit. There are a number of processions and protest marches were taking place against Israel and now against America also in various countries, who blamed Israel for this heinous act of bombing. Some countries did show solidarity with Israel, but most of the Islamic world, not Gazan people but Hamas, word was with Gazan people. President Biden gave clean chit to Israel when the Israel Prime Minister showed him some images to prove that this was misfired by Islamic Jihad organization, not by Israel. Because their explosive stored by them, they went on the hospital. That caused explosion. Agreeing with Israel, President Biden also waved a paper from Pentagon and CIA also proving the innocence of Israel in this episode. So Biden no doubt gave unflinching support to Israel, but announced 1 billion humanitarian aid to Gaza. Because people were dying because of lack of food, lack of electricity, lack of everything. During the 13-day long war till 19th October, with IDF army like artillery, navy and air force continued taking toll to Hamas forces in Gaza, with combined death toll reaching 4902, with Israel counting life of 1400 civilians, whereas 3502 died in Palestine. And total number of injured people from both sides is 14,700. Dear friends, the IDF Air Force continued destroying the residential building in the city of Gaza. There is some confronting news from both Gazans and the Palestinians. Israel has agreed to form human corridor. So the vehicles containing humanitarian aid to Gaza and can reach Palestine because Gazan people were dying. In the meanwhile, the British PM Rishi Sunak also reached Israel to show its solidarity with Israel and stayed for the night. No doubt, the Hamas is also plundering Israel both with indigenous and foreign-made rockets, mainly southern Israel region. But without doing too much harm, because now Iron Dome is very effective. Now, there is another more fierce terrorist outfit, Hezbollah, which has almost 50,000 members on its roll and is based on Lebanon and strongly supported by Iran, started attacking Israel. Hezbollah is actually proxy of Iran, which has the strongest army among all the Middle East Islamic nations and is very strong enemy of Israel. Hezbollah is continuously attacking 3 border cities of Israel with rockets, with drones, all gifted it or given to it by Iran. The Israeli has asked its citizen living in border area to evacuate so that it can have a full-fledged fight with Hezbollah. So in this way, now Israel is fighting at 2 fronts. One with Hamas in the south and second with Hezbollah in the north. And Israel is containing both of them. It's harming them in big lot, but it is also suffering some damage. Israel is well placed against the 2 terrorist outfits unless Iran and Russia jump into it. If Iran and Russia actually enter in this conflict, a full-fledged war will start. Now, why I'm saying the World War III is starting? Because just today, news were coming that at many places American bases have been attacked. In Iraq, in Syria, thousands of people are surrounding American embassies. So, Islamic world is uniting. Russia is supporting Hamas. China is supporting Hamas. American bases are being targeted. Israeli embassies are being closed in many countries. Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict is not yet over. Russia-Ukraine conflict is in full swing. So, next 7 days are very crucial for the world. The way things are moving, it can lead to a full-fledged world war. Let's pray God it should never happen. Thank you very much.